things that I'm trying to get my hands around is how people make decisions. And if I can get to a deeper understanding of how somebody goes about the process of making a decision, I figure it's something that will help us in what we do every day. But here's the issue. If you're a psychotherapist for a living, you are dealing with people who are probably where they are at right now because they've made some bad decisions in their life. Now some people, granted, they just had some sort of life trauma, but a lot of people who are going to see a psychotherapist are there because they've made bad decisions. And so what they need to do now is make good decisions in order to correct their life, correct? So the question is then not how do people make decisions, but how do those people make decisions? Because it's not just a matter of looking at it and saying logically, here's the decision-making process, and we can look at this from this clinical point of view, because there's something going on with the people who are sitting in the psychotherapist's office. And the fact is that they are under great degrees of stress, correct? So the question that I had for the psychotherapist was very simple. How does stress affect decision-making? That was the question. How does stress affect decision-making? Because every day, we have to try and figure out how we sell homes to people who are under great stress. You agree with that, by the way? Okay, and so then we ask the question, are customers who are thinking about purchasing in 2010, are those customers more stressed today than they were in, say, 2005? What do you think?
Yes.
Why? Because just by the way, if you don't remember, it was a stressful time in 2005, but for different reasons. But why are they stressed today? What are some of the things that, in addition to the idea that they've got to move and pack and make the decisions and everything else, there are things that are unique to 2010 that are adding to the stress level, like what? Employment security, huge issue.
Net worth is down.
What's that?
Net worth is down.
My net worth is down. So now when I'm making this decision, I have to make it with more constrictions in regards to my financial picture. Why else is it tougher today?
False recovery.
For the fear of timing as far as whether or not this recovery is real? Absolutely. Why else?
Overwhelming amount of information.
Oh, this is huge right here. Overwhelming amount of information. There's no question about it. So you just look at those four factors alone, and they're going to dramatically add to this stress picture. And if we just take this last one, the overwhelming amount of information, and contrast that in 2005, one of the things that actually made it relatively easy to buy in 2005 is that you didn't have nearly the choices that you have today. So you looked at it, you said, I have choice A, B, or C, or in some cases, just A. And it makes it just narrows it down. Today, the overwhelming amount of choices are only going to add to your stress. All right. So the question to the psychologist was, how does stress affect the decision-making process? And here was the answer. Very concise, very simple. He didn't pause for a moment. And this is what he told me. He said, more than anything else, stress constricts creativity. Above everything else, stress constricts our creativity. He gave me this example. It makes perfect sense as soon as he said it to me. You're in a room somewhere. You look across the room, there's somebody you know walking towards you. And in your mind, you're thinking, oh, oh, he's getting closer. Oh my goodness, oh, it's right here, forget it. It's not going to happen. The harder you try, the less chance you're going to come up with a name. When you are going to come up with a name is 15 minutes later when you're using the restroom. And suddenly it's like, oh, Jake Johansson. It's like pops into your brain because the stress was gone. So that stress constricts your creativity. So let's think about that for just a moment. If you were going through the process of buying a home, this is a process that relies on creativity. It relies on you taking all of this information that's out there and all of this emotion, because this is an emotionally driven decision, and trying to find out some creative whole to this thing, some creative, just completely complete picture of what I'm going to try and do. So here comes all this stress, it constricts my creativity, then what happens? What's the progression? If I'm feeling overwhelmed by everything that is around me, and my creativity is constricted, here will be my natural response. I'll cocoon. I'll turtle. I will go to my happy place. People in that situation are going to try and revert back to their most comfortable behaviors. Now, if you're a psychotherapist, this explains a lot of self-destructive habits. The people do things that are not in their best interest. Well, why do they do that? Why would somebody do something that they know it's not in their best interest? Why?
Gives them comfort.
Because it's comfortable. Because it's the comfortable thing to do. It's what I know. So the question that we ask them for the home buyer, if they're stressed out, and the stressing affects their decision making by constricting their creativity, and therefore they want to go back into that simpler place, what's the most comfortable possible place for a home buyer? It's the home they're in right now. And this is the issue. This sort of unlocks the mystery that we have long suspected, that our biggest competitor is not, a builder down the street. The biggest competitor is inaction.